What's going on, everybody? You're watching from the Green Room, and my guests tonight are Connor and Jimmy from the band Dissentience.
How's it going?
Thanks for sitting down with us and chatting. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. Excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So you guys, Connor, I asked you earlier before we went live. You're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yep, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, in the Lehigh Valley.
Jimmy, are you in Pennsylvania too as well?
Oh yeah. Essentially, all of us are from Bethlehem except Nick. He's from Altoona. So
Gotcha.
when he initially joined the band, he was about 3 or 4 hours away from us. But a few years ago, him and his girlfriend moved to Bethlehem to essentially, be closer to the band. So
Nice.
Can't thank him enough for that.
Oh yeah.
And we've all just been in Bethlehem ever since.
That's dedication. Yep. So you guys, you just released a new single called Clinical Psychosis, and a video to go with that. So tell us a little about that single.
Yeah, I mean, the single kind of came about lyrically. I had seen this documentary on Netflix called Wormwood, which is all about it's pretty interesting. It's about this dude whose dad was part of sort of an unwilling participant in the government MK Ultra testing in the 60s.
Right.
But looking further into that, it had like a lot of impact on kind of the psychedelic movement and hippie movement going on there too, in like the San Francisco Bay Area and all across the U.S. really. But sort of seemed an interesting topic, especially coming out of that Wormwood documentary. Like, this dude's a CIA pencil pusher essentially, and all of a sudden one day, he drinks his morning coffee, and 45 minutes later he's tripping balls in a room full of CIA suits, and they're trying
Sounds like a solid Friday.
Like taking notes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then musically it kind of all came together. Like, I brought the lyrical concept to our bass player, Sean Langer, and we sat down, came up with probably like the first 2/3 of the song just in one shot sitting there. And this was back when we were all still in school. So he took it back to school. Him and Jimmy finished it. We sort of touched it up afterwards, and then that's pretty much it.
Nice.
But we tried to approach it with a little bit more of that sort of like a flow to everything.
Right.
We didn't want to go full on jam rock, psychedelia, and all that. Just, despite the lyrical concept,
right.
But we wanted to keep it kind of musically in the same vein too, and we'll do that a lot.
Gotcha.
That song in particular was cool because it was one of the ones that it was one of the only ones where we kind of went into writing it with just like a vibe in mind, as opposed to being like, okay, here's just like an assortment of riffs and let's stick them together and see what works. It was kind of just like Connor and Langer sat down like with an idea like already in mind, just about not even like riffs or anything, just about like the vibe of like how we wanted like the lyrics and like the whole concept, and then
Right.
the song came out of it. And I
Wow.
thought that was really really cool. That was the first and kind of like only time that we've done that particular thing where like we just start off with just like a hey, let's try to do this type of vibe and see like what song comes out of it. So I'm actually really really proud of this song, like lyrically and instrumentally. I thought it's just one of the ones on like the album that just really really like came together, and I it's one of my favorites to play as well. So
Right. It's definitely a heavy song. I listened to it right before, early when I got home from work, and there's a lot of like heavy guitar. Of course, the lyrics, are pretty heavy too. Um,
Thank you.
so how'd you were talking about a little bit how the one member moved to Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, but how'd you guys form initially? Were y'all friends? Did you know each other?
I hated Connor personally, but
Nah, so I kind of had the inkling to start a band, back in high school. Like a lot of bands kind of start.
Hmm.
And I was looking for members. We went through a couple different drummers, but Jimmy was probably the first person I really asked about playing in the band. We
yeah,
both played. We both played sax in the high school band, and I would see Jimmy come in with Bench Sevenfold shirts and shit like that all the time. So I was like, oh, all right, this kid likes metal, and found out that he played guitar, and we actually had the same guitar teacher at the time too. So I was like, oh, great fit, And then invited him over to jam, and that sucked. But then we jammed again, and it was way better the
he's not
second
wrong.
time. Yeah, but no, it was Jimmy and I hit it off then. Liked a lot of the same music and got into a lot of the same stuff. So we've been in it together for a while, pretty much since the beginning. And then Sean Langer, our bass player, him and Jimmy have been friends for a long time
Hmm.
before I knew either of them. And he kind of like hung around a few practices. We really needed a bass player, and my dad, who was kind of the de facto band manager back in high school, was like, "Hey, why don't you ask that ginger kid to play bass for you?" It's like, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea," So I had a bass laying around. I let him borrow it, and he picked it up, learned the songs, and it's been history ever since.
Nice. So speaking on the music, you guys had the same taste in music. So what music do you guys list like? Who's your favorite? Like, what do you listen to when you're trying to just chill out?
I mean, now it's definitely a different answer from like when we first started. I mean, like for me, like Connor said, like my first like foray into like this style of music was kind of like your Avenged Sevenfold, Killswitch Engage,
Right.
Anthrax was actually one of the first like metal bands that I ever listened to. So I've always been more partial to kind of like the melodic side of things, and then like meeting Connor, he's definitely got me into a lot of like very much like heavier bands and styles. But then also at the same time, he's also introduced me to stuff like Mr. Bungle, which we both really really love. So it's like, and then I personally like outside of like metal, it's like I personally listen to like everything. I'll listen to anything from like some pop to but like at like the core of it, like I'm a metalhead.
Right. Right.
Connor definitely goes way farther rabbit hole with a lot of like more, I would say, like diversity and like the metal genres. But I mean, some of my favorite bands would be like Protest the Hero, Revocation, Xylosis. But then again, I still love like bands like Avenged Sevenfold and kind of like the more mainstream sort of stuff. So
Right. Right.
I'm all over the place.
Nice. It's nice to
Yeah,
have a little variety.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat as far as being all over the place. I mean, we like a lot of old school stuff. Whether it's like old school thrash, like Exodus, Testament, old school death metal. Obviously, death is a huge one for at least for me. Obituary, Gorguts, stuff like that. But a lot of new school stuff as well, like Jimmy said, Silosis, Revocation, Trivium is a big one. Like the newer sort of era of
Right.
Machine Head, like Through the Ashes to Locust era is some of the best stuff to us.
Yeah, that band was a big awakening for me as far as stuff that can be done in like the metal genre. I remember the first time I listened to Through the Ashes and just I was like, what the fuck?
Right. Right. Right.
Such a good album.
But I mean, even past that, like I think we try to take a little bit from everywhere. Whether it's I mean, I grew up listening to everything from like my dad was a metal and punk head, so I like have like first press copies of all like the Black Flag and Minor Threat stuff that I've listened to countless times.
Right.
Mom was into disco and R&B.
There you go.
Gramps was into jazz, so a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of different places to pull from, even though it's, I would say death metal and thrash are definitely sort of like the core of our sound. We try to pull from everywhere and not really shoehorn ourselves into one corner.
Right, right. So your first full-length album was released earlier this year, Empire Anatomy, and of course, Clinical Psychosis is one of the tracks off that album. And you made a video. Are you have any other plans to release any more tracks or videos from that album?
Yeah, we have one video
So
out now
we
for War of Belief, which was the first single off the album. Obviously, Clinical Psychosis. We did another single with no video or anything, but The Beast Beneath. And I think we've been in talks to do another one, but there's nothing set in stone for it yet. So I'm gonna keep that under wraps for right now.
Right, right. Yep. Don't let out two secrets. So looking at the rest of 22 and into 23, what do you got? What can we expect to see from you guys?
essentially just trying to play out as much as possible. Like right now, for the next 2 months, we've got a bunch of gigs booked in PA. I think we're playing in Jersey once. Then we're going up to Connecticut. I think we have a New York show as well in Brooklyn. So if anybody's looking for any like tour dates or not tour dates, but like show dates or like any merch or anything, that can be found like on our website, Dissentience.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'd love to. If anybody listens is near those areas, come out to the show. We're always down to chat and meet new people. Like we just want everybody to pretty much like have a good, like there's no cooler feeling than just hanging out with a bunch of people that like the same music and just shooting the shit. So
Right, right. It's always fun to talk to the bands at shows and stuff. Um,
Absolutely.
so you,
We tend to thrive in a live situation, too. Like I don't know, it pains me when we see other bands and whatnot that are up on stage and they're staring at their fretboards or looking at their feet the whole show. Man, we like to throw down. There's not a single show where my back's not sore the next day. So
right,
dude,
right.
ain't that the goddamn truth?
Yes.
Whew.
I do a lot of big show. I cover a lot of big concerts, but I also I live right across the street from a pretty popular venue here in Indiana, and I like to support the local acts too. Like the local music scene here in Fort Wayne is pretty big, I think, and there's a lot of bands. And there's a variety of genre of music, So
Yeah, I mean it's important,
Yeah.
Always keep that scene alive, because otherwise, how do you get new bands to come out of that?
Yeah, just even try. That's all you got to keep pushing on it with everything. So you mentioned your website, but where can we find your music at?
So you can find the music's actually at our website. We have the Bandcamp sort of linked into the website, so if you want to just check it out there, you can. It's also streaming on every major platform: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Like I said, Bandcamp. Pretty much wherever you listen to music, you will probably find our album.
Awesome.
Also on YouTube, all the songs are up. Plus, obviously the two videos that we have out. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much anywhere you can stream it, we got it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's awesome, man. We look forward to hearing some more tracks to release from you guys. It's been great having you guys on the show, and
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
no, anytime, man. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys soon. Be safe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.